Hello friends, welcome back to this video series on saluting women in history. This video is a continuation of the previous one since I am going to deal about an influential woman personality during the period of the Mughal Empire, which was considered to be an extended but more of an Indianized version of the rule of the Delhi Sultanate. Till the end of the 20th century, no amount of writing seems to be enough on the resourceful women who dominated Mughal politics. The historical sources state that the rights of women to be sovereigns of kingdoms were familiar to the Turks, Persians and the Mongols. And Babur's family, which had assimilated the traditions of Genghis Khan and Timur, provided tangible opportunities for women to participate in political affairs, but they were not considered the right to sovereignty. The royal Mughal women had played a significant role in molding the character of their emperors and also in the political matters, but they did everything behind the screen as wives, mothers, foster mothers, daughters and sisters. This may be due to the reason that at the height of their power, the Mughals practiced an inclusive political culture, providing space for a diversity of beliefs and practices. Coming to the topic, Mughal women in general were often highly accomplished scholars, writers, poets and intellectuals, either through their excellence or they took initiatives to break the restrictions. Numerous examples are available in this regard, such as Gulbadan Begum, Salima Sultana, Mahamanaga, Raujanara, Jahanara, Arjuman Banu Begum, Zaibun Isa, Bibi Walia, Mary Hervey, Shirin and even many more. They have even rivaled men with their admirable success. Jafar Sharif makes an elaborate reference to the various customs and practices relating to female education in Mughal India, and he rightly holds that there were a number of educational institutions for women in different parts of the country. Emperor Akbar made arrangements for giving suitable education to the inmates of the royal harem, and he is also said to have established a girls' school in his palace at Fatehpur Sikri. Similarly, in the Mazar-e-Alamgiri, there is a reference to the education of women in the royal palace of Aurangzeb as well. And it is very much important to highlight here that not only aristocratic women, but also the common women took keen interest in literary activities, and a close examination of the Hindi literature reveals the contribution of women is fairly rich, qualitatively as well as quantitatively. Thus, this background clearly establishes the fact that many women of the Mughal era are known to history by name. Among them, the most powerful woman who played an unprecedented role was none other than Empress Nur Jahan, the esteemed wife of Emperor Jehangir. She was well known for her great beauty, unmatched intelligence and volatile temper. As a woman in the 1600s, the tale of her rise to power and prominence is unique and noteworthy. Her profound learning had made her wise and shrewd enough to carry on the administration of the vast Mughal Empire as a co-sovereign. The acclaimed historian of India, Ruby Lal, who is the author of the popular book The Astonishing Reign of Nurjahan, published by Penguin India in 2018, explains why the history of Nurjahan's leadership is important to understand today. She compliments the greatness of Nurjahan and states that Nurjahan was born only a few decades after Queen Elizabeth I, yet she ruled the territory far more diverse than that of her British counterpart. Empress Nur Jahan is the only woman Mughal ruler, and she is omnipresent in the folklore of India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Nur Jahan was the beautiful daughter of an eminent Persian noble, Mirza Ghiazuddin Beg, later called as Itimadud-Dawla. Being reduced to a difficult situation due to increasing intolerance under the Safavid dynasty, he proceeded towards India to seek refuge in the more liberal Mughal Empire. On his way to India, his wife Asmat Begum gave birth to a girl in 1577 AD by the roadside outside at Kandahar, that is in present-day Afghanistan. And that girl was named Meher-un-Nisa at birth and was later named Nur Jahan by her beloved husband Emperor Jehangir. She received her early education in Quran and the Persian language and had a special flair for poetry. From the very childhood, great care was taken to make Meher-un-Nisa proficient in all spheres by her parents, who are learned and highly cultured. Consequently, Meher-un-Nisa gained proficiency in many branches of learning such as music, dancing, painting, sewing, cooking, decoration, riding, hunting, and all fine arts. Raised in a blend of traditions from her parents' birthplace and their adopted homeland, she was married to a Mughal government official in Bengal, Ali Quli Bey Istajlu. He was an outstanding sharpshooter who earned the title of Sher Afghan or Tiger Slayer. Meherunisa's expert skills at hunting and shooting developed from Sher Afghan's training to her. She moved with him to Bengal, a rich province in eastern India, and gave birth to her only girl child, Ladli Begum, in 1605. Unfortunately, Sher Afghan died in 1607 AD during a clash with the Mughal governor of Bengal. The widowed Meherunisa, along with the daughter, was given refuge in the royal harem of the Mughals, where other women gradually started to trust and admire her. Jehangir first met her in March 1611 during the Nowruz celebrations in Agra. As she was beautiful and highly intelligent, he got attracted towards her and decided to marry her as well. After some setbacks in the earlier part of her life, Meherunisa's fortunes changed after her marriage to Emperor Jehangir in 1611 AD. Jehangir was very much admired with her and gave her many ostentatious titles such as Nur Mahal in 1611 and her most famous title of Nur Jahan, that is the light of the world, in 1616 AD. A good deal of fiction has gathered around this remarkable woman, obscuring her personality and role in the social and political life of this period. Their union was unconventional and even scandalous in their day, but what happened was something different. After marriage, Nurjahan won Jehangir's complete confidence. She came to the throne within the first 6 months of her marriage and became Empress Nur Jahan, assuming the imperial powers of the Mughal Empire along with her husband till 1627 AD. Nur Jahan's family had held a high position in the Mughal court during the period of Emperor Akbar itself. Hence, she was no stranger to the extent and authority of government. After marrying with Nur Jahan, Jehangir appointed her father Itimaduddaulah as joint Diwan, and later he had been promoted to chief Diwan. He served 10 years and proved his loyalty, competency and acumen. Asaf Khan, Nur Jahan's brother, was also a learned and deserving man. He was appointed as a Kani Saman, a post reserved for the high trustworthy nobles. Nur Jahan had no children with Emperor Jehangir, but she was a loving stepmother to his children from other wives. She was particularly fond of Prince Khurram, later Emperor Shah Jahan, and took a strong interest in educating and molding him as the future Mughal emperor. It is important to note here that Nur Jahan's brother Asaf Khan gave his daughter Arjuman Banu Begum to Prince Khurram. Some historians mention that along with the father and brother and in alliance with Prince Khurram, Empress Nur Jahan formed a group, that is junta, which managed Jehangir's governance at such a level that without its support no one could approach the emperor. This led to the division of the court into two groups, that is Nur Jahan junta and its opponents. But her assumption of authority marked a phase of extraordinary affluence and peace in the history of the Mughal Empire. Many historians believe that Jehangir was an ailing drunkard who no longer had the stamina to focus to rule, and that is why he gave up the control of his kingdom to Nur Jahan. But that is not entirely true. Though the emperor was fond of drinking, he was deeply in love with his beloved wife, and this is not the only reason why Nur Jahan became a ruler to be reckoned with. In fact, Nur Jahan and Jehangir complemented each other, and the emperor never felt uncomfortable with his wife's increasing growth as co-sovereign. And it is also important to compare him to Sultan Iltutmish, father of Sultan Raziya, who also had no complexes when it came to recognizing the merits of a woman. Like Sultan Iltutmish, Emperor Jehangir was also the person who understood the essence of Islamic theology, which favors the political empowerment of women. After the death of Jehangir in 1627 AD, a war of succession ensued in the Mughal Empire, and Nur Jahan's political power was also weakened during the strife struggle between Jehangir's sons. Even though the prospective Emperor Shah Jahan was brought up by Nur Jahan, they shared a tense relationship after the death of Jehangir. He became powerful because of his personal qualities and achievements rather than the support of Nur Jahan. Finally, taking over the Mughal throne, Shah Jahan exiled Nur Jahan along with the daughter Ladli Begum from Agra to Lahore. Even in exile, she conducted herself with a dignity and grace suited to her station as a noble woman. Known for her philanthropic work for the poor, Nur Jahan also built a tomb for her father Itimaduddaulah, which is believed to have served as an inspiration for Emperor Shah Jahan, to construct the Taj Mahal later in Agra. Thus, this beautiful lady with a quick understanding and piercing intellect, the greatest woman of her age, retired from the world and lived a quiet and lonely life for 16 years and died at the age of 68 in 1645 AD. She was laid to rest near Jehangir's mausoleum at Chadra, Lahore, in a tomb of her own construction with the gardens that surround them. Empress Nur Jahan carefully attended to the affairs of the state, and a number of historians believe that she became a real woman leader in the Mughal era. Nur Jahan issued her first farman to protect the land rights of an employee. Her signature in the order read Nur Jahan Padshah Begum, which translates as Nur Jahan the Lady Emperor. It was a sign of sovereignty, and Jehangir also allowed her to mint coins in her name, an honor that was reserved only for the emperor. Luckily, she was the only Mughal queen to get this honor. In 1617 AD, coins were minted in gold and silver, bearing her name along with that of Emperor Jehangir on either side in Persian script. Court chroniclers, foreign diplomats, statesmen, and visitors soon started to note her kingly prerogatives, which fetched her unique status in the history of Mughals. There are many interesting facts and acts of defiance to support the same. Firstly, like Sultan Raziya, Empress Nur Jahan also defied the Parda Convention, though partially she showed her extraordinary personality in the public. She was often seen in the Jarokas, receiving the audience and issuing orders. Secondly, known for her shrewd planning and physical strength, Nur Jahan was also a formidable ace marksman who often accompanied her husband on hunting expeditions. She was able to rescue Emperor Jehangir from the clutches of the rebel leader Mahabat Khan in 1626 AD. Finally, her expert skill in hunting and shooting is proved by the fact that she once brought down 4 tigers with 6 bullets. A poet in attendance to the shoot praised her in verse. Though Nur Jahan be in form a woman, in the ranks of men she is a tiger slayer. Empress Nur Jahan enjoyed the height of her power when she was surrounded by loyal men, which included members of her own family. She also influenced a large number of brilliant soldiers, scholars, and poets from Iran, who subsequently played an important role in the administration and in the development of the cultural life of Mughal Empire. She was involved almost daily in the intrigues at court and took on cases of marriage negotiations, promotion and demotion, allocation of jagirs, and trade decisions with great efficiency that most sources of the time assumed that she was the only one really making decisions. It can be strongly stated here that trade flourished in the Mughal Empire under Nur Jahan's regime, and the cosmopolitan city of Agra became an important commercial hub. Nur Jahan placed her officers everywhere and ordered the collection of duties on goods from traders and merchants. She had also cultivated lucrative trading relationships in Asia and Europe and ordered for the construction of many sarais or rest shops for merchants throughout the Mughal kingdom. Empress Nur Jahan also owned ships in her own name to transport cargo to Europe and pilgrims to Mecca, and accumulated tremendous wealth independently of the Mughal treasury. This is proved by the account of the British diplomat Thomas Roe, who visited Jehangir's court to support him for exclusive trading rights but was aroused by Nur Jahan's business tactics. Her charisma, intelligence, and extrovert behavior didn't even escape him. Empress Nur Jahan was a humanitarian who was very much concerned with the affairs of women and frequently contributed land and dowries for orphan girls. She also ruled the emperor's vast zanana, that is the part of the palace for the seclusion of women, which housed hundreds of people including ladies in waiting, servants, slaves, female guards, spies, entertainers, craftspeople, visiting relatives, and all the children belonging to these women. Nur Jahan greatly influenced the zanana's taste in cosmetics, fashions, food, and artistic expression. Women's clothing was modified to take account of the hot weather. It could be stated over here that this talent of Nur Jahan would have been gained from her mother Asmat Begum, who was a lady of refinement and education. Her mother was credited with the discovery of attar, that is a perfume, while boiling petals to make rose water. Thus, fashions at Mughal court, highly influenced by Persian culture, began to blend into local styles. Although the Mughal harem has claimed the attention of scholars, Ira Mukoti's recent feminist history Daughters of the sun, empresses, queens and begums of the Mughal Empire breathed fresh life into it, making it accessible and emotionally absorbing to the common reader. Empress Nur Jahan was a highly cultured lady, well versed in Persian and Arabic literatures. She was also an exalted poetess of beautiful verses and composed verses in Persian under the pen name of Makfi. Nurjahan also patronized contemporary renowned poets. Poetry contests were held, and favorite female poets from beyond the court were sometimes sponsored by the queen, such as the Persian poet Mehri. She loved books greatly and collected a fine library of rich books. Nurjahan was a great patron of the arts, fascinated by Mughal miniatures, and also commissioned many extravagant architectural projects such as palaces, tombs, gardens and caravansarais. Both Jahangir and Nurjahan were devotees of the elegant and sophisticated Mughal artistic style, the Taj Mughal being one example. The emperor owned an admirable collection of exquisite miniature paintings and together with Nurjahan constructed beautiful gardens, notably in the court's summer retreat in Kashmir. Nurjahan used some gardens for official functions and others were open for the public. She also built Nur Mahal Caravansarai located in Punjab, which was commissioned in 1618 and was finished 2 years later. Since the Mughal court was visited very often by many travelers, this place was chosen as it is an essential trade route on road from Kashmir to Agra. And this sarai, because of its location, allowed Empress Nur Jahan to collect tariffs, which in turn enabled her to patronize other institutions. Nurjahan has been iconified, romanticized, idealized in the popular and historic imagination as nothing more than a sensual lover versed in Persian poetry. Nevertheless, the important point to note here is that, unlike other Mughal women, Nurjahan could not be ignored. The Persian chronicles pay considerable attention to Nurjahan, and she certainly figures as a very important character in Mughal Emperor Jahangir's memoirs, Tuzuk-i-Jehangiri. According to the memoirs, from 1614 onwards, Jahangir confirmed his special relationship with Nurjahan, and he had also painted an admiring portrait of her as a sensitive companion, a superb caregiver, an accomplished advisor, a skilled hunter, and an art lover. In addition, taking a cursory look at the gamut of popular Bengali literature, European travelers' accounts, Persian historians, and contemporary South Asian historians, it becomes apparent that Nurjahan has been given her share of historical representation, however misinterpreted or weary it has been. Many authors have written extensively about the life of Nurjahan, but some of the European writers felt even negatively about her. However, the female writers of the 20th century, such as Elizabeth Banks Findlay, often write about Empress Nur Jahan in a more positive light, heralding her as a sort of early feminist hero. By analyzing all these things, it could be stated here that Nur Jahan's unusual amount of power has created such varying opinions about her by the historians. Empress Nur Jahan clearly manifested the leadership qualities, though she did not come from the house of royalty. She was a fascinating woman who came to rule the vast Mughal Empire against extraordinary odds. As the favorite wife of Emperor Jahangir, she found herself uniquely positioned to brilliantly utilize her skills in administration, politics, economics, society, and culture. Stories about her are abound near monuments in Agra in northern India and Lahore in northern Pakistan. Though people have heard stories about her romance and bravery, little is known about her dynamic world, political acumen, and powerful ambitions. Her stay at Lahore would have inevitably reduced Nur Jahan's era to a brief footnote or an unread appendix. In reality, Empress Nur Jahan had a visible hand in many reaches of power which flowed out from her. Her husband's private issues, intrigue at the court, Mughal military matters, imperial architecture, and international trade. There were many avenues of power available to her and she used them all, but she did not abuse them at any point of time in her life. Her legacy has been memorialized in coins, architecture, paintings, books, and films. Even the contemporary historian Ruby Lal has portrayed Nur Jahan as an inspiring proto-feminist and an empress in her own right. Thus, Empress Nur Jahan was a most distinguished lady of her age and never lagged behind in anything and lived a life that was unusual among women at that time. With all these facts highlighted in this video, Empress Nur Jahan is a woman to be given a big salute in history. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video with another woman personality.
Please like, share and subscribe to this channel.